Ladies and gentlemen, hello. We have made it to another episode of Pickup Lines. It is the talk show in a car, and a man who probably doesn't need an introduction, no stranger to the camera at all, and no one, and I mean no one, in San Antonio eats as well as the great David Elder does, of Elder Eats, Texas Eats fame. Welcome in, sir. I feel like I have provided food for you.
I was actually going to say, like, if we're in a car, should we just drive somewhere and get food? Like, are we going, is it just like a drive-through experience? Or
as it relates to Pickup Lines, I usually tell people if the car moves, then something's wrong.
Oh, okay.
So generally speaking, I don't, but maybe we'll have to order out or something.
Yeah, we'll get,
I don't know.
Yeah, a little Uber Eats.
I feel guilty now not having food for you, but it's great to see you, sir.
Yes.
We share an employer, obviously. We're both here at KSAT12, but a lot of times we're like two ships, passing. You're doing your thing, and I'm over here doing my thing.
Yeah, we've seen each other a lot more at events, kind of like,
yes.
You're either like emceeing or hosting or doing something very important, and I'm over here at the buffet line doing my thing that's very important as well, or vice versa. We've kind of seen each other in passing, but now we work together. Super cool.
Still amazing to me. In a good way. We're coming off of Fiesta, and I mean, you were certainly one of the rock stars at Fiesta with your medals and your giveaways, and the food obviously is synonymous with Fiesta. But did you have as much fun as it looked like you were having on camera?
You know what? I always...
Because it's work. It's also work.
Yeah, it is work. And I live by, the swan, the elegant swan.
Yes.
And I always take that with me whenever I go out, because you want everybody to enjoy you enjoying the moment. And I take that very serious. So I want to have a lot of fun. Now, a lot of that, though, comes with the planning that goes into all this. So, and this in the back of your head, you're always like making sure that you're hitting all your talking points, that you're moving along, you're keeping the energy going. It's kind of like radio. You don't want a dead air. So you just keep talking and keep going. So on camera, it's work. But when the camera's not rolling, of course, we're still having a lot of fun.
Sure,
it's Fiesta,
sure. It's hard to argue with all of that. We'll get to the show and everything in just a little bit, but typically I like to start early and work my way toward present day. So did you grow up in New Braunfels?
So I'm a military brat.
Okay.
And so I was born in Misawa, Japan, on Misawa Air Force Base.
Okay.
Yes. And both parents Air Force at that time. And then my mother was stationed at Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California. And so when I was about 2, we moved to Edwards Air Force Base. And I grew up on Edwards Air Force Base. And then we moved to a house right outside of Edwards Air Force Base. And I was there till just about my sophomore year. It was the end of my freshman year, sophomore year, going into high school. And then my dad got a job out here at Fort Sam.
Okay.
And that's what got us out here. And then we moved to Garden Ridge. And then I went to Canyon High School in New Braunfels.
So you're a cougar.
I'm a cougar.
Growing up on an Air Force base or whatever, I mean, are you exposed to any kind of cooking where your parents cooks? Like, what are your earliest memories of being in a kitchen? Because you obviously became a chef and you worked in restaurants and et cetera, et cetera. But what was your earliest memories of being in a kitchen?
I would say always with my mom. My mom is a great cook, and growing up, she would always like to experiment with a lot of different recipes because she had stuff from her mom, her family growing up, and things that she learned and adopted while in the military. So she traveled all over the world, and so she would do different things in the kitchen, and I loved being there. But my favorite thing was dessert. So I was always like a mad scientist in the kitchen with her for dessert. I was like, yeah, that looks good, but can we throw like marshmallows in there too? And she was like, why not? So there was a lot of fun that we would have with desserts for sure. And I would say that was definitely my first introduction into wanting to be in that cooking space and feeling like it was home, like it was something more than just cooking. It was like, oh, this is actually fun.
I can totally relate. My late mother, that was the same thing. It was, for me, I'll never forget baking. Biscuits was, or cakes, or she used to make this parfait dish with layers of pudding and whipped cream and everything. I'll never forget. And marshmallows, as a matter of fact. That's a true story. Yeah. But I have a daughter now who her name is Madeline. I call her the mad scientist because she likes to do the same thing with ganaches and sauces and spices and stuff.
Yeah, you just have a little fun with it.
I figured you would appreciate that. All right, so you graduate Canyon High School, and you stayed here in this area.
I did. And actually, so right when I graduated from high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. What's kind of funny is when I was in high school, I was out here there was those ads on the radio that would be like, be the next Disney star. And I wanted that so bad. I wanted to be the next Disney star.
Like
So
you're talking about like Hannah Montana,
I just
what
wanted,
Justin Timberlake, Mickey Mouse Club, or
I don't know exactly what the end goal was for that moment, but in my mind, I was like, I can act, I can be on TV, I can do this. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to be on one of these TV shows that we would watch.
okay? Well, let me
And
stop. So did you
yeah,
do like theater and public? Where did you
no.
get the public speaking or the performing from?
You know what? A lot of this was just it's kind of cliche, but if I had to categorize myself, it was a little bit of the class clown. I didn't really want to be that person, but I found like looking back, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I was. So I just love talking. And I was never afraid to get out there and I
Right.
love karaoke. And
Okay.
like, so getting up in front of people and singing and having fun, it was never something that was like a fear. Like I was always ready to get up in front of a group of
You still
people.
do that?
I still do
What's
it.
the last karaoke song performance you gave?
Um, I don't, I can't recall the last exact
Okay.
moment, but my go-to song is "Ain't Too Proud to Beg" by the Temptations.
Oh, okay.
That's my,
Motown.
yeah, that's my go-to.
No, I mean, no, John. I was not expecting you to
Yeah,
drop Motown on me, but
yeah.
that's a solid
That
choice.
is I actually, you know what's funny is I did that on SA Live, but it was we
Yes.
were live and they were like, "Hey, it's a karaoke song." We were at Fiesta, maybe 2017, and I
Oh
did that
my
on TV, so that
gosh.
was fun. But I just always had this drive,
Yeah.
and I'm also the youngest of three.
Okay.
So as the youngest, you have to be the loudest, you have to be the craziest, right, to get attention because the
Sure.
other two,
You're competing.
both very successful in their own rights and their own little things. So I always had to make my way through that. And I felt like this acting thing would
Yeah.
be something I can do. And it never really worked out the way I wanted it to, but I always wanted to do it. And so I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. So after Canyon, I went to San Antonio College
Yeah.
and I received 2 associate's degrees from San Antonio College in graphic and web design. And I then went and attended UTSA,
Mm-hmm.
and my pursuit was for a marketing degree. And while I was there, I actually, I was here in town. I got my first, I call it my real job.
Yeah.
It was a marketing coordinator for a classical architecture firm. And Michael Embers, which great guy, learned a lot,
Okay.
love it. And that was my first like introduction into marketing and really finding out that that was kind of my calling is you get to talk to people,
Right.
you're networking. I get to do the design stuff. I love doodling and drawing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
the design elements that I learned and that I acquired from San Antonio College, that all kind of came back into play.
Right.
And so it all kind of worked out.
But then you must have still had that itch to be on camera, or it wasn't complete.
It wasn't complete. I wanted I wanted to be the voice of those moments. Because like when you design something, you hand it over and it's just
Right.
it's a project.
Yes.
But I wanted to like talk about it and I wanted to be in front of the project.
Right.
So I think that's where that drive was still I had an itch that wasn't scratched yet. I needed to find that way to do it, that outlet.
You had a fever. And I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you had to. You had
Okay, so then KSAT obviously comes into your life.
Mhm.
Did you pursue them? Did they pursue you? How did that happen?
So I pursued them actually. I was at Boss Creative here in San Antonio, and I was a UI UX front end designer. So I was doing websites like application design, and they had an opening for a graphic coordinator,
Yeah.
and it was also like a 3D broadcast animator. And I applied, got the job, and
Is this like 10 years ago, 12 years
this
ago?
was 10 years ago.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of the technology and the evolution of
Yeah,
everything
I know.
in 2015.
So 2015, actually, a lot of the stuff we have now is just a better version of what we had
Okay.
then. So luckily at that point, I was Adobe certified, so I knew all the applications. It was really helpful. I had experience working in as a marketing coordinator for
Yeah.
2 years. I had the UI UX front end design for a year, and then through all of that, through high school and going through college, I also
Right.
worked at restaurants, and that's where the restaurants
And that's how
tied in.
that
Yeah.
Okay.
So this restaurant knowledge was like I acquired through all these years of cooking back of house, working front of house. I thought none of that was ever going to help me in life.
Mm,
And so I just kind of wanted was like, oh, I can forget about all that.
yeah.
And then I started here, and again, that I saw the TV was right there now.
Right.
And I was like, man, I could do this. I felt it again. I was like, I haven't felt that way since that Disney.
Yeah, it all was coming back to you.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's like right here. It's right in front of me.
So then SA Live is launched, obviously, here.
In 2014. So I
The
started,
lifestyle show.
yeah, in 2014. And then in 2015 is when I started in August.
Right.
And by about March of 2016, I was like, I want to be on TV. I think I can do this. And you know what? The station gave me an opportunity. They had an opening for a position at SA Live. I auditioned. I beat out the other applicants, which, luckily that worked out. And then I had this opportunity to be on TV.
How scared were you that day?
Terrified.
When you were auditioning here?
Oh, terrified. So the two hosts of the show at the time, a part of the audition process was you had to go live with them, or like a look live.
Right, sure.
And they grilled you kind of like in a fun way, but like they throw in questions at you.
Rapid fire stuff. Yeah.
Respond and react. It was kind of like,
think off the top of your head.
Yes. And it was like, how are you going to respond in this situation when this is happening to you in real life on live television?
Yeah.
And they enjoyed what I did, I guess, because I got the job.
You made an impression.
I made an impression.
And the rest is history, as they say. But
Yeah.
you didn't start, did you start out as the food guy? Or
I did not.
You did not?
No.
That just evolved.
Yeah. So working through these other jobs, I really enjoyed working with nonprofit organizations. I think that was a big drive for me, was always wanting to give back and learning from these other jobs that I had prior to this.
Yeah.
That working in the community and giving back is super important.
Right.
And so that was a big drive for me. So doing stories about nonprofit organizations and giving them a voice and giving them the awareness was a big part of what I wanted to do in the beginning. But what I found was it was a lot of work to coordinate, to get the story out. And I really wanted to give them like a platform, but nobody knew who I was.
Yeah.
And like the stories were like going flat. And I felt so bad because I was like, they would get like 300 views on Facebook. And I was like, it was like, what am I doing wrong? I felt like I was doing everything right. And so I didn't know what to do. And actually, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she had a friend of hers, her boss actually, was like, hey, I know somebody who just opened a restaurant. Do you think your boyfriend could get him on TV? And I was like, I think I can do that. Well, it was Cesar Zepeda. He knows this.
Oh, yes.
And it was,
I know Cesar.
And it was Sangria on the Berg. It just opened.
Fantastic.
I know. It was a great restaurant.
Yes, it was.
And I went out there. I did a story with him. And in one day, that video got 95,000 views. And that was it. I knew that was what I needed to do. Because I didn't understand that I had all this like back knowledge of restaurants. And I was like, I could talk shop with these like restaurant
You're
owners.
in your element.
Yeah.
And food is a universal, as you know, language. I mean, everybody can relate to food in this market, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Well, and at the time, 2016, the term influencer or foodie and all these things, it wasn't a thing.
No.
It was
not like it is now.
Not like it is now. So there wasn't anybody doing videos like this or talking about the restaurants on this level of that in this market. There were people on social media who were kind of developing this voice who are very successful now.
Yeah.
But they were doing more pictures at the time. Because Instagram, stuff like that was more picture-based, not video-based. So I was just like, well, I can do a video. Yeah. And the videos just took off.
And a number of them have had more than 1 million views, and you've gone viral many times over. And your social media presence is as strong as anybody in this building, if not stronger. So
it's crazy. Honestly, I never thought any of this. I still think about it sometimes, like even like last week, and you just kind of go to events and you see people and they're so excited to see you and you're like, it's so cool that people enjoy what I do, because to me it's like I get to go have fun, but people were like, kind of like we were saying earlier, they see the fun that we're having and it's being conveyed and it's being translated and communicated effectively, where people are like, oh, I want to go do that. That's super cool.
I may have told you this story. This was a few months ago before I started here at KSAT. One Saturday morning, my wife and I were watching, and we happened to see Texas Eats, and this, it was a Camarón shrimp seafood place came on, and spontaneously, Tammy was like, let's go have lunch there. I'd never been in my life. So we get in there, we sit down, we're at the table, and this other couple is seated next to us, and we strike up a conversation, and I was like, yeah, we saw this place on Texas Eats, and the couple was like, we did too. Same thing.
Yeah.
came over to the restaurant. That's got to be a great feeling.
That's honestly, that's the biggest reward from this whole project has been when we do stories about restaurants and people go and engage with the
Yes.
restaurants because the restaurants win at the end of the day.
Right.
I would say 95% of what we do with the show is free coverage for these restaurants.
Right.
I mean, we got to pay the bills, so there's sponsored content that has to
Sure.
be
Sure.
on there, but 95% is just going to these, reaching out to restaurants that we want to feature
Yeah.
and giving them a platform to communicate what they do.
Yeah.
And so, and it's amazing when people see it. Like, again, they engage, they love it. They're like,
Right.
oh, I got to go have that. And
Right.
then they go and they do it because the restaurants win at the end of the day.
It's a win, yeah. And you eat like a king, which doesn't hurt either. 2 minutes with David Elder here. At the risk of getting too personal, I do want to ask you a question because we're on television, right? We have to be mindful of the way we look.
Sure.
And I couldn't help but notice during Fiesta and other times, I'm sure this happens all the time, where people come from a good place, but they will comment to you about your figure.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you obviously eat for a living, essentially.
Yeah.
And you obviously look great.
Thank you.
But you've been able to maintain this. And I wonder when people talk to you about your figure, your looks, your weight, as it relates to your job, does that bother you in any way?
No, honestly, like I think it's par for the course. I mean, consuming food is a part of that is also, it reflects in you. And so people are always kind of amazed when they see that I'm eating all this food.
Right.
And they're like, but you've lost weight. How is this happening? So, and that means that at the end of the day, people are watching, they're engaging. And so I love it.
But you have to be
Yeah,
disciplined. I
you do.
mean, you have to maintain this, obviously.
So we started this show in January of 4th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
From January 4th, 2020 to October of 22, I gained 70 pounds, 70, doing the show. And I had to make a decision. I went to an ENT. I had an ear infection. I know this is like all like crazy.
No.
And the ENT doctor was like, David, I'm gonna tell you, 2 kinds of people get this kind of ear infection. He's like, kids and unhealthy adults. Guess which one you are? And I was like, I'm a kid, right? He's like, no, you're an unhealthy adult. And he was like, but you can make a decision right now. He was like, you're at a point, you're young enough.
Yeah.
You can still go back. And it was just a wake up call for me. The COVID, the pandemic, really closing the gyms was an excuse to stop working out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're at home all the time. You're just eating food, hanging out.
Yeah.
So it was just a wake up call, and I decided I had to get back in shape. And I played sports, middle school, high school, college, and so I was in shape for a long time of my life, eating all this food.
Yeah.
I went down a different path, so I knew how to do it. I just had to trigger that back on and turn that back on. So since then, October of 22 to now, May 2025, about 2.5 years, I've lost 100 pounds.
Yeah.
I know. And
which I think is powerful because it just goes to show that you can indulge.
Yep.
You can eat delicious food
Yep.
and a variety of things, but if you're disciplined, you can have your cake and eat it too, if you will.
It's really, it's moderation. A lot of people think that when we're eating the food for the show, I'm eating everything. And I used to, but that's what
I can see why you would.
But that's what got me gaining all the weight.
Right.
And then I had to stop and I had to be like, actually, the tagline for the show, which is that's the bite.
That's the bite.
I actually had to take that one bite now. And I've been very true to myself, honest with myself. Yeah. Take the bite, put it down, talk about it, analyze it, have fun with it, go to the next bite. Because we do 3 or 4 restaurants a day sometimes.
No, that's the thing. Yeah. People may not realize you're filming multiple episodes or segments and how difficult it must be. I'm sure maybe you've got it down now, but in the very beginning, to put that piece of sushi down or that burger down or that rib down must have been very, very difficult.
It's the lobster tails and ribeyes for me that were like, I'm not putting this down. There's a lobster tail and a ribeye in front of me. I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot, but it's just that bite, getting it. The way that I modeled it in my head was eat to entertain, not to sustain. And that's how I switched it. Yeah. And it's been a change at home.
Yeah.
My wife would make dinner for me as well. So I'd eat all this food, come home, eat dinner. And we've had to change everything. It really has become a changing point for both of us. But we've both seen benefits from changing this since October of 22. And it's been amazing.
When you're not on the air, and you're just at home or whatever, do you have a go-to meal or a snack or something that
Honestly, no, I don't. I fast almost the whole time I don't do the television stuff. Like,
it's crazy?
if I had to pick one meal that I enjoy, that I either my wife makes or I make, it's really simple rice bowls at home.
Yeah,
And it could be any kind of rice, whatever, white rice,
right.
brown rice, chicken, and broccoli. Like, super simple.
Yeah.
And those to me, it's just comfort food. It's easy to make. It's a lot of flavor, and you don't feel guilty when you're eating it.
Yeah, I love it. So you may not be a Disney star, but I think many people would argue that you're a star in this market for sure. How much do you think about the future and how big this can get and what ultimately you'd like to do?
You know what? I think about it at least once a day because I see a lot. I'm always trying to think of what's the next thing, right? What's the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
thing?
yeah.
What's the next thing? Especially with social media being in that mindset of what's
Hmm.
the next, always evolving what you're doing and adapting it. Because if you keep doing the same thing, people go to
Right,
the
right,
next channel, right? They'll change the
right,
channel.
right.
So I would love to see this continue to grow, continue to expand, and continue to get new viewers and a new audience in different formats or different ways.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would like to kind of explore different projects. I
Hmm.
would see myself kind of doing something a little more fun, a little more game showy, like I think I would like to do something like
Oh,
that, like in that
okay.
realm. And the food stuff is how essentially how it's my bread and butter. But I'll never leave the food stuff, but I would
Yeah,
love to explore the skills that I have and using them in different ways.
I love it.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, whatever you do, I think is going to be a success, and I eat vicariously through you all the time. So, but I'm a fan, and I appreciate everything.
Oh, thank you.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the great David Elder. Of course, he's not hard to find on social media. Certainly not hard to find on the KSAT platforms of your choice, digital, on air, and otherwise. So, what are you eating today? Do you even know?
I'm gonna tell you, Hattie B's up in Austin.
Oh, you're going to take a road trip.
We're taking a road
Oh
trip to
my
Austin.
gosh. Okay. Well, have a bite for me.
I will.
There he is, the great David Elder. Follow him wherever you follow social media. And of course, Texas Eats on KSAT 12 Saturday mornings,
That's
correct?
right. 10 a.m. and 11
And
p.m.
11 p.m. Very good.
Now,
Thank you, sir.
thank you, Art.
Bon
Appreciate it.
appetit.
Yes, bon appetit.
Bon sayena, as we like to say. There he is. There's another episode of Pickup Lines. We'll be back again very, very soon. And I will have food next time David
There
Elder
you
is
go.
on with me. Until next time,
Salute.
I'm Ernie Zuniga. Bye for now.